They will not serve you. You need to make sure you follow your instructions, your teacher's instructions for how to do that. So I am going to turn my camera off soon, but before I do, I would like to point out that I'm wearing black and white. Those are the colors that I'm wearing, and if you have a particular quiz, you'll understand why I stated that. So just to reiterate, please do not list any answers to any quizzes in the chat. That is just for questions for me and our Megan. So I will turn my camera back on toward the end, but I really want everybody to focus on the
On the
PowerPoint.
PowerPoint.
Okay.
Okay.
I hear an echo, so I don't know if someone
Got it.
has their mic on, but if everybody could mute their microphones, that would be awesome. Thank you. Okay. So, are you struggling to keep up with your coursework? The answer to that is probably yes for most of us. Do these deadlines, they seem to like sneak up on you. They leave you feeling like you're just overwhelmed and stressed out. A lot of students find themselves grappling with these challenges of like managing their time and honing in on their study skills. So again, for this webinar, we're going to just talk about some practical strategies and techniques that hopefully can enhance your study habits and also improve your time management skills. So the exam, it's only 3 weeks away, so I have plenty of time to study for it. And then 2 weeks before the test, well, the instructor, she hadn't really started reviewing anything, so why should I? Then next thing you know, it's a week before the test. This is crazy. The instructor, they expect us to remember all of this information that we've covered. These tests really don't prove anything. And then now it's the weekend before the test. And you're thinking, I'll study all weekend, even all night if I have to. And if I don't do well, nobody can say I didn't try. Do any of these sound familiar to you? What they most likely are resembling is what we call procrastination. So the actual definition of that is it's the act of postponing or delaying something. In other words, just putting things off. So if you have to engage in some type of rituals or there are some things that you just have to do before it's time for you to study or complete your homework, like, have a snack, take a shower, call a friend, check your social media. A couple of things you can do instead is maybe set a specific time every week or even every day for you to study. And then you got to stick to that. Then you might want to cut out one of your rituals each time that you complete a task for school. Save that ritual till like after you've completed your homework. Also, when it comes to procrastination and time management study skills, your attitude, it plays a key role in the habits that you develop. So, do you find yourself expecting to do well, but you haven't put in a lot of effort? Some people might be used to succeeding in school, just by showing up. Unfortunately, I am not one of those students. And be realistic with yourself. Are you? The workload for your classes, it is going to increase. So more effort is going to be required. Also, another way of looking at attitude, are you that person who's a perfectionist? Like everything has to be perfect for you to finish. Something's just not good enough. That also is an attitude, a factor that's not going to be very effective. Instead of wanting or trying to ensure everything is perfect, instead try setting realistic time limits for each of your assignments, and then do the best you can in that time frame. Now, when I say lower your goals, I don't mean get rid of them, but sometimes we can have some goals that are just really, really require a lot, or maybe too many. Have your goals set where you can achieve them in the time that you have to complete your assignment. So, also, when it comes to being a better student, understanding or receiving the information well, it could also have something to do with the way you learn. We all learn differently. What works for one person may not necessarily work for another person. And also, the way that your instructor teaches may not always align with how you receive information. So some of us, we actually respond well to, verbal instruction or your lecture. Some of us also prefer like some visual aids, even a video or PowerPoint or even a handout. And then some people actually learn better when they're being active, using their bodies. So each person, you tend to favor a particular method of learning or taking in information. And what we call this method is a learning style. So if you are curious or would like to know what your learning style is, I do have a quiz. So I will give everybody a minute to grab something to write with, pen or pencil, and you will need something to write on because it is about 12 questions. And once we go through each question, we will tally up at the end, and that will give you your learning style. So there are actually three different ways that we can learn. We call that visual learning, auditory learning, and then tactile learning. So once we take the quiz and everybody tallies up their responses, and then you will know which learning style you have. I will explain to you which each one is and different tactics that you can take or do to help you learn best. So I hope everybody has something to write with and something to write on. So, what you're going to do for this, once I read the question and I'll go through the responses, you select the letter by the statement that best describes you. It may be a V, an A, or a K. And at the end of the quiz, you're going to add up how many V's you have, how many A's, and how many K's. And this will tell you what your learning style is. So, question one. If I have to learn how to do something, I learn best when I watch someone show me how to do it. A, hear someone tell me how, or K, try to do it myself. Question two, when I read, I often find that I visualize what I am reading in my mind's eye. A, read out loud or hear the words inside of my head. Or K, I fidget and try to feel the content. Okay, question three. When asked to give directions, I will see the actual places in my mind as I say them or prefer to draw them, or I have no difficulty in giving instructions verbally, or I have to point or move my body as I give directions. Question four. If I am unsure how to spell a word, I will write it in order to determine if it looks right. Or I spell it out loud in order to determine if it sounds right. Or I write it in order to determine if it feels right. Question five. When I write, I'm concerned with how neat and well spaced my letters and words appear. Or I often say the letters and words to myself. Or I push hard on my pen or pencil and can feel the flow of the words. Question six. If I had to remember a list of items, I would remember it best if I wrote them down or if I said them over and over to myself or if I move around and use my fingers to name each item. Question seven. I prefer teachers who use a board or an overhead projector while they lecture, or teachers who talk with a lot of expression, or teachers who use hands on activities. Question 8. When trying to concentrate, I have a difficult time when there's a lot of clutter or movement going around or going on in the room, or there's a lot of noise in the room, or I have a difficult time when I have to sit still for any length of time. Question 9. When solving a problem, I will write or draw diagrams to see it, or I talk myself through it, or I use my entire body, like moving objects to help me think. And question 10. When given written instructions on how to build something, I read them silently and try to visualize how the parts will fit together, or I read them out loud and talk to myself as I put the parts together, or I try to put the parts together first and then read the instructions later. And question 11. To keep occupied while I'm waiting for something, I will look around, stare, or read, or I talk and listen to other people, or I have to walk around, manipulate things with my hands, or move and shake my feet as I sit and wait. And question 12. If I had to verbally describe something to another person, I would be brief because I don't like to talk too long. Or I would go into great detail because I like to talk. Or I gesture and move around while I'm talking. And I believe these are the last two questions. So, question 13. If someone were verbally describing something to me, I would try to visualize what they're saying, or I would enjoy listening, but I want to interrupt and, talk a little bit myself. Or I would become bored if the description got too long and too detailed. And last question. When I try to remember names, I remember faces, but forget the names, or I remember names, but I forget faces. Or K, I remember the situation where I met the person rather than the person's name or their face. So what you'd want to do is tally up all of the V's that you selected, tally up all the A's that you selected, tally up all the K's that you selected. So for which letter that you have the highest number or the most number of responses, that is going to be your primary learning style. Now, granted, although you may identify more with one, you can enjoy all three or even a combination of one, two, or three. So if you've tallied up, you don't have to share, but let me just give you some clarity. So if you found that you have more V's, that means that you are primarily a visual learner. So a visual learner's, yeah, just what it says. You learn best through sight. You learn best by reading or seeing something. If you had more A's, that means that you are an auditory learner and you learn through sound. You learn best through hearing things. And if you have more Ks, that is what we call a tactile slash kinesthetic learner. And that type of learner, you learn by doing. You actually have to feel or move around. So, for example, if you are visual learning, meaning that you learn best through sight, some different ways for you to study would be you take detailed notes. You would rewrite your notes or even draw diagrams during the lecture. Now, if you are mostly an auditory learner, and again, this means that you learn best through sound. So, a different ways for you to study could be listening to videos, watching videos, or if the lecture is taped or you may have recorded it with your phone, go back and listen to it. And also, you might want to study out loud, reading your notes to yourself. And if again you circled more Ks, that means that you are a tactile or a kinesthetic learner. And remember, that means you learn best by doing. So, some good ways for you to take notes for that is make a model of the concepts, act a part out of a character if possible, or actually perform a task or do something as you study. Now, again, you may just learn best with one of these or a combination of all, but it's always a good idea to know or determine how you learn and study best. So, another key to being a good student, studying well, of course, is organization. Now, organization, it does actually take some time to get organized, but once you have done it, it is a very effective factor. So, some things that you can do in your classes to even help you be organized. Every course is going to have a course syllabus or maybe a course schedule or even a course calendar of assignments. Read it and print it. Print your course syllabus, print your schedule. Also, you'll want to maintain a master calendar of your own. Even though you have due dates listed in your classes, you should use a planner. Now, there are a couple things you can do. You can buy an actual planner, or you can use or download a planner app on your phone. Once you do that, you will then take that printed course calendar of all your due dates. You will go into your planner and list all of the due dates in there. That will be a very helpful tool because, again, granted, most of your instructors are going to email you or remind you, but that is not their responsibility. So, getting emails from instructors regarding assignment due dates, that's a courtesy. As long as their assignment due dates are printed in the course, it is your responsibility to submit them by the due date. And if you're a person who's going to be waiting for your instructor, which is never a good idea, you should go ahead and list the due dates on your planner. If you need to, make a list of your assignments and write down the due dates beside that. Keep it with you. Since we always keep our phone, that's probably going to be one of the best methods for you. But again, it is your responsibility to keep up with your due dates. Also, I do know everyone is busy. A lot of you do work and go to school. However, you will not do well in school without studying, dedicating time to your homework. So you are going to have to set aside a specific time for every day to complete your assignments. You can actually literally write down what day you're going to study what and what time frame and stick to your schedule. So let's say, for example, if you're taking three courses, if you're taking biology, psychology, and English, and again, of course, depending on your schedule, but let's say Monday from 6 to 8, I am going to study only biology. I'm going to take that time for that. Tuesday, you have time from 4 to 5:30. Then you're going to actually research or make notes for your psychology course. Then Wednesday, you had some time during lunch from 12 to 1:30. Now you're going to actually research and make notes for your upcoming English paper. Thursday, 6 to 8, I'm having some time. So since I've already started working or conducted the research for my psychology course, I'm going to go ahead and finish that discussion board forum. And then Friday from 4 to 5:30, study your biology again. Yes, Saturday and Sundays, these are days that are also included. So Saturday, in which I know that's a day you're probably catching up, but carve out 2 hours, 12 to 2, complete your English paper. The goal here is that when you set these time frames, that you know that is exactly what you're supposed to be doing at that particular time. And then on Sunday, take a few minutes to plan the next week. You can actually plan a month out, but if that's just a little too much, plan your week of how you're going to study. This is an example of how your classes would look. Now, granted, some of you may have more classes, but again, you are going to have to carve out the time. My rule of thumb is that I know life is busy and you're busy, but you have goals. You have to be a student on purpose. That means studying when you don't feel like it, studying when you're tired, studying when you just, I don't understand. You have to dedicate this time to be a successful student. So here's an example of how a weekly schedule could look. So detailed, so specific that you can list, yes, I'm having breakfast at this time. I'm going to be in the carpool or traveling to work during this time, and list specifically what you're doing. It's a good idea to list your personal events that you need to do as well. So you can have the time to study and allotted time to study. So again, a week, it doesn't have to be elaborate. And also another good tactic for studying properly is taking notes. Now, granted, there are a lot of instructors who now use PowerPoints. However, you can't be certain that the PowerPoint lists every single thing that you need. So if your instructor does use PowerPoints, some good points that you could do would be to print the PowerPoints and bring them to class. And if your instructor notates some information that's not even listed in there, you can just write it on the PowerPoint. However, if your instructor doesn't use PowerPoints, it's still a good idea to take notes. And again, even if they still use them as well. So don't ever feel that taking notes is not a good idea. For the most part, during class, when your instructor's talking, you may understand and grasp the information. But guess what? By the time homework is due and the time you take a test, there's been days, hours in between that last class session. Your memory is not perfect. There is actually no way that you're going to retain information you learned Monday to Thursday without having looked at it again. So it is a very good idea to take notes and to review them. The thing about our short-term memory, which is our working memory, which is what we're using now. Information that goes into our short-term memory is only there about 1 minute. Then it goes away. In order for us to retain information or for information to move from short-term memory to your long-term memory, you have to attend to it. And what that means is you have to do something with information. Like right now, you are listening to a webinar. If you don't make notes or go back and review this, you're not going to remember anything I said. But if you attend to it by jotting down some notes or writing down some key things and you go back and read them, you have a better chance of retaining information. So that is what one good tactic that is very good when you are trying to study. So if you have a problem with taking notes, and I get it, that can be an issue. Maybe your instructor talks really fast, or you don't know what to write down. So here are some tips on how to take some good notes. When your instructor is lecturing, pay attention to what they're saying. Pay attention to what they're doing. If they take the time to write something on the board, or if they take the time to repeat information, that's usually some important information, which means it's likely going to end up on an exam or a homework assignment. So that would mean you might want to write that down. If possible, if you can read your chapter, or even if you can read the key terms or a summary before class, that actually primes your brain and it prepares it, meaning that since you've already reviewed this information, even if it was briefly, when the instructor starts going over it, it will sound familiar to you. Also, when you take notes, this is a good tactic. Write them in your own words. What this is doing is reinforcing your understanding of the topic. So, for example, if your instructor is discussing some concepts, and of course they're going to discuss them as they're written in the book, you can write them in a manner that you understand, and that's actually going to be very helpful in you remembering them later. Some common mistakes, though, that students make when they are taking notes. One is students try to write down every single thing that the instructor says, and they're really not listening. I want to be clear. It is very bad practice. It is not a good idea to try to write down everything your instructor says. And I say try because it's actually not really possible. And the thing is, in your trying to do so, you're missing information, you're not really listening, and you certainly are not understanding. Your goal is just to get it on the paper. So don't be nervous, even if your instructor's spouting a lot of information. You can't write down everything. Write down the key points. Write down information that stands out. You can always go back later and fill in that information. Also, when you're taking notes, students tend to not think about the topics that your teacher is saying. So if they are going over a concept, try to think of how you understand it. Try to even connect it to something that you already are familiar with. Your notes don't mean anything if you don't try to understand what the instructor is saying while they're saying it. And another thing I've noticed, students don't ask questions while the teacher's lecturing. It's a good idea to ask questions during the lecture. This is because the instructor's going over something that you are having some difficulty with, not quite understanding. So raise your hand and ask a question. That is not considered rude. It is considered to be awesome. Us teachers love that. Oh, that means that you needed some clarity, or you want me to follow up, or you want to understand this information. If you can, don't wait till after the lecture. It's a good idea to ask at the moment because it's fresh on your mind, and the instructor is currently talking about it. So please, it is considered very good manners to raise your hand or even interrupt an instructor. Um, in spite of all of those, I do have some ways or some different methods you can take notes because, again, a lot of us want to try to get some down, but you will not be able to write down every single thing your instructor says. That is not a good idea. So there are some methods or techniques that you can use or try to help you get your notes in order. So one method is an outline method. Outline method is really good for if your instructor talks really fast and if they tend to go over a lot of information. So the outline method is just like an outline. You are going to use the Roman numerals and the letters, and you are going to list the main points, one or two words, and then you're going to have any sub ideas connected to those. Again, these are not sentences because you cannot capture several sentences at once, but you can capture some main summary, some key terms. So an outline is a really good method. It's kind of like a shorthand method. And then there's another method you can use. It's called Cornell method. So if you use regular paper where you have the margin and the rest, this method, what you do is in the left column where that little margin is, you're going to list key concepts or topics or headings. And right next to it, you're going to list definitions or any short sentences that the instructor covered pertaining to that topic. If you notice, it looks like this. You'll have your topics here and some short sentences, some short summaries, or you may even want to formulate a question regarding that concept. List it there in the notes column. Also, another method you can use is called the boxing method. So this one does involve a little bit of drawing, but not much. So with the boxing method, because again, if an instructor is speaking very fast and going over a lot of information, it's impossible to get all of it. So you want to capture some topics. So the boxing method, if you don't want to be concerned with the margins on your notebook paper, here you can draw a square and list about 3 to 4 key points or ideas in there. The square indicates that all of these are related and they go with the same topic. Then you do it with another square. But the point of this is all of your ideas that are listed in there pertain to each other, hence the different squares or the boxes. That is also another way of understanding your information better, knowing that concepts go together. And when you go back to reinforce your learning by reading your chapter, you'll know what goes with what. Another note-taking method is called mapping. So the mapping method, you're again connecting different thoughts and ideas. Instead of the boxes, this would be more circles. And then you will have one major topic, and you're going to list three subtopics. You're going to like draw a line and then, of course, have a circle there. So this is the method. It's very similar to the boxing method. However, with this one, everything is not listed in the same square or circle. We're just drawing lines that connects it to it. We also have power notes. So this is something that I just became familiar with, and I'm still learning it, but this might be something that you students will find very interesting and useful. So Power Notes is actually used mostly in research, but also it is a good note-taking program. What Power Notes can do for you, once if you're reading a text or some reference for class, you can highlight the text on any website, take notes, then you can drop that content into your own research topics with a click. Also, with Power Notes, you can save links to all of your sources so you won't ever have to forget where you found them. Also, it helps you organize materials through a structured online created for you as you conduct your research. Also, once you've done all this, you can export or download the projects or the research assignments that you've been working on. Even with the annotations or citations, you can download this to Microsoft Word or even Excel. Also, Power Notes, your research, you can see Galileo, you can search research at those results, and you can combine them with your Google search. Now, I do want to point out, it is a website, and you can actually access it using your Lanier Tech email address and your Lanier Tech password. Now, there are several prompts that you'd have to go through to access Power Notes. But once you get in there, and there's a tutorial that walks you through how to do all of those different things. But if you're a person who would like to have, a record of research and studying while you're doing it, that is what Power Notes is for. So I have the website, it's just powernotes.com. Again, you're going to put in your Lanier Tech email address and password. If you're on campus, you're going to see an Open Athens logo on the login screen. You click on it to log in. If you're off campus, you can still log in with your Lanier Tech email account. There'll actually be a prompt on the website asking if you are affiliated with Lanier Technical College, and you will select that. So that's another method that's fairly new, if anybody's interested in giving that a try. And also, I have some study tips. So again, and I just want to be clear, I get it, studying is not fun. However, in order to get the degree and pass the course, you're gonna have to do it. So here are some tips maybe that can be useful. Um, be honest with yourself. Regarding studying, is the coffee shop really the best place for you to study? If you're at home and you know you curl up in that big lazy boy chair, are you likely going to fall asleep when you do it instead of studying? What time of the day is best for your brain? Do you really perform well under pressure? I hear that a lot. A lot of students tend to think, oh, I perform better under pressure. Do you really though? How long does it really take you to write a paper? So be honest with yourself about your habits. Once you do that, that will actually help you to study better, because when you know what you won't do, perhaps you won't put yourself in those positions. So, some study tips. Always do your homework. Because homework is actually practice for your exams. The homework, yeah, these are things that are prepping you for your midterm, your final. Also, read well. Every class has mostly a textbook. I'm discovering a lot of us or students aren't using them. If there's a textbook provided, please read it. And not only that, and I know reading can be boring, so start looking at the headings of the chapter or all of the different headings for each paragraph. If they have pictures or graphs or charts, read those. Usually those are side notes or some more intense information that might even make you more interested in the chapter. This also gives you an idea of all of the key concepts. Now, another thing, when you're reading chapter, remember, you're not going to be able to retain everything you read. You've got to do something with that information. So it's a good idea that when you're reading your book, to take notes, to underline, highlight main ideas, even rephrase a paragraph if you find it hard to understand. Also, remember to write down any questions that may come up while you're reading your chapter. You can present those to your instructor during your next class for some clarity. Read the chapter summaries. The summaries outline all of the major points that were covered in the chapter. You may even find something new, something that you didn't see before. And if that is the case, go back and read that section again. Also, if your textbook provides like end of the chapter reviews or questions, look over those. Typically, the answer to those end of chapter questions are at the back of the book. So why not quiz yourself? Take those, find the answer, and then if it was correct, good. If it wasn't, go back and figure out why you got it wrong. If you can fully answer those questions, though, you are more likely to have already learned the material. But what that does is give you an idea of what you might need to work on. Review all of your notes. Review all of if there are any lecture videos listed in your course, PowerPoints. Concentrate on anything that you don't know. And also take frequent breaks. It is very difficult to study for 3 hours on end. Encourage yourself. Actually, reward yourself. If you take 20 minutes to read a few pages, get up and stretch, get up and meditate, have a snack. Then, if time allows, go back. And also, most importantly, get your sleep. I know a lot of us work a lot of different hours, and sleeping is actually not a lot of things that we can do. So, studies do show people who do not get enough sleep frequently forget anything they've learned, read, or even went over. Your memory is very much affected by lack of sleep. You're going to have more trouble remembering, concentrating, and functioning. And also relax. So again, when you start reading a chapter, it can be overwhelming. This is 15 pages of I don't know what. So take your time, read a couple of pages, then relax, take a break, then go back. There's nothing saying that you have to try to read a very difficult topic in one sitting. Give yourself a break. Now, there's some other strategies, techniques, different things that you can do that can help or assist you with retaining information. Because again, reading words for hours or even minutes can be very difficult or even impossible to retain it. So there are some tricks and strategies that can help you. So one thing is if you do take notes in class, if time allows, go back and rewrite your notes. Usually, if you're writing notes in class, they may be short versions of what the instructor said. You may have paraphrased something the instructor said, and you might have written it very quickly and it possibly is not very legible. So rewrite your notes. Actually, rewriting your notes does reinforce your learning. And another technique you can do is called chunking. So chunking means that you break down large amounts of information into bite-sized chunks. So an example of that would be this number here, which is easier to remember, saying this number all at once or breaking it down into groups of 3 and then 4. So when you have information from your class, and if it's a lot of it, put it into categories or group them together by their similarities, and you have actually a better way of retaining it that way. Now, study groups can be helpful because you guys can actually help each other, and it can be very supportive. However, please be mindful of study groups. This time definitely needs to be used to study and not to socialize. So if you know that you're going to discuss um, what someone was wearing or doing at the Grammy Awards, possibly then a group is not really a good idea for you. So another study trick and strategy is flashcards. Now, writing or making flashcards may be time consuming. So there actually are some websites that will assist with that. But a flashcard, anything like an index card, they don't have to be elaborate or sophisticated. You can write on one side of it the key term, the summary. Then on the other side, you would list the full definition or the full summary of the concept. Now, again, there is one in particular. Canva can actually assist you in creating flashcards. Quizlet, a lot of you may be familiar with that. Quizlet already has flashcards already made. I believe you just have to sign up. And they have a lot of study tools and definitely a lot of flashcards already made for different subjects on Quizlet. But if anybody's interested in creating their own flashcards, there is a website that I've listed here. It is canva.com/create slash flashcards. And don't worry, guys, you will have access to this PowerPoint again. So another technique you can do is a mnemonic device. Now, mnemonic devices, these are memory techniques actually. And what it does is you're creating an acronym or a rhyme or some type of song, whatever it is, you're creating a method where you can associate concepts or even remember them. So for example, PIMBAS, that's an example of a mnemonic device. This one, to remember these notes, grizzly bears don't fly airplanes. This is actually a very, very helpful technique for remembering information. Again, you're going to have to see a pattern or whatever works for you as to how you can associate and connect different concepts. You might want to relate them to, I don't know, body parts or name of streets, whatever works for you. This is a very good tactic for remembering information. And also, we know stress and time management. Managing stress and managing your time wisely are probably two of the most important keys in being a successful and a good student. So the thing about stress, unfortunately, we can't avoid it. And to be honest, a little stress is actually good. A little stress. Because when we have a little stress, it actually pushes you to do better. However, too much stress is not good. Too much stress can definitely be a bad thing. When we are very stressed, we can make a lot of mistakes. Some of us actually just shut down, and the whole time that we're experiencing all of these feels, the clock is ticking. So when it comes to stress, just even small relaxation techniques can be very helpful. Deep breathing, meditation, exercise. If you have a very busy life, a very busy calendar with school and work, you can certainly find 1, 2, 3, or 4 minutes of your day to breathe deep or to meditate. Again, meditation doesn't have to be sophisticated. It doesn't have to be elaborate. If you only have 5 minutes to do some deep breathing and relax, do that. Also, another thing, control your negative talk. It's real easy to tell yourself what you can't do. Instead, tell yourself what you can do. You can tell yourself, yes, I only have a few hours to get this and this done. I'm going to at least take 30 minutes of these hours and read one of my assignments or work on one of my assignments. Don't just consume yourself with all of the bad and the negative. Always try to find some positive or a light, seriously, in the tunnel. You want to apply positive thinking because the more you tell yourself that, the more you will actually start to believe it. The thing about time management, though, granted, if we could, I would certainly love to give everybody some more hours in the day. And I know all of us feel like we just do not have enough time. But guess what? We all get the same 24 hours. And you might be wondering, why do some people seem to achieve more with their time than other people? The answer to that is good time management. And you have to plan for that. Time management is the process of organizing, planning, of how to divide your time between the different activities that you have to do. If you get it right, you'll end up working smarter, not harder, not putting yourself under undue stress. You will get more done, even when you have a tight schedule, because you have managed your time wisely. Good time management. This takes a focus, though, a shift in your focus from activities to results. Being busy isn't the same as being effective. So many people actually feel the busier they are, the less they actually achieve. So again, it's getting things accomplished in a timely manner. When it comes to time management during exams, not all, but a good majority of instructors here, their exams, they are timed, meaning you may have 60 minutes, 90 minutes, 2 hours to complete an exam. That can actually provide a little stress. So when it comes to timed exams, you want to actually make most of your time here as well. One thing to do, if possible, if you are allowed to use notes or books with your exams, have your notes already organized before you sit down to take your test. Create what's called a dump sheet of all the vital information that you don't want to forget. Be prepared to write down on the back of the test or a blank piece of paper if necessary with your dump sheet. Now, if possible, preview the test. A lot of times, instructors may just even tell you what type of questions, like you may have 30 questions. They're a combination of short answer, true, false, or multiple choice. By knowing that, what kind of questions you are having and how many, that can actually help you divide how much time you will have per question and also give you an idea of how to prepare. If it's multiple choice, you know the answer is going to be there. However, you need to be able to eliminate the incorrect ones. If it's short answer, you are priming your mind to know I've got to come up with several sentences to respond. So if you can know anything about the exam before taking it, that can be very helpful. Create a test schedule. Again, if you know you're going to have an hour and a half to complete a 30 question multiple choice true false test, go ahead and calculate how much time and also find a quiet place to take your test. So a rule of thumb with multiple choice tests, I know a lot of students prefer them because the correct answer is there. However, the drawback to a multiple choice test is uh, only one answer is correct and they all look like they could be. So a rule of thumb, answer your easy questions first. You know those answers. Get those out of the way. Now, the next questions are the ones that are a little bit difficult, but the ones that are really hard, save those for last. Because now, if you've ran out of time, and hopefully you haven't, you've gotten the ones that you do know and the ones that you kind of know. So you can spend a little bit more time on the difficult ones. Never leave questions blank. If it's 5 minutes left and you got five more questions, guess. At least you've increased the odds of at least 25% of getting one correct. Never leave questions blank. And if you have time left over, review your test. The goal is not to finish your test in under 5 minutes. The goal is to utilize all of the time that was given to you. You may have made a mistake that you can go back and see or fix. So, in order to be a good student, basically know yourself, be honest with yourself about your behaviors, about things that you know you will actually do, and adjust your attitude. Stop being so negative. Actually, say more positive things about yourself to yourself. Practice solving problems, pay attention in class, Yeah, putting things off, we're gonna have to stop doing that. The sooner you get it done, the sooner it'll be over. And also manage your time. So, a great college student, not a good one, a great one. They know when to study, they know where to study, they know how to take notes in class, they know what to do to complete their homework, and they know why it's important to be a great test taker. So here at Lanier Tech, we offer several resources or services for students. If you find that you're having some hardships or some issues, these are some of the services that we offer for you. So, if you need help with your classes or want to improve your grade or anything, you can visit the Student Success Center. This is online from the Linear Tech homepage. We also offer tutoring. Please utilize this service. We offer tutoring in the library. If you struggle with research or just how to start, you can actually schedule a time with a librarian. We offer tutoring in math. That includes, of course, college algebra, writing. That would align with any course regarding what English, psychology, history. We also have anatomy and physiology tutoring, chemistry, psychology, business technology, and Comp 1000. So, what you should do is visit the Student Success Center because we have a combination of in-person tutoring, virtual tutoring, if you can't make it on site. But they all have schedules, and if the schedule doesn't align with you, you can schedule an appointment. And we also have a familiar face that you just saw a few minutes ago.
Sorry, I'm back. Hey, I am Megan Whitworth. I didn't even introduce myself before, guys. I'm sorry. Megan Whitworth, the student navigator at Lanier Technical College, and I also am over student life at the college. So you get a bajillion emails from me for everything. But basically, the student navigator side, I'm available for students who are struggling in their classes and need general help with study skills or time management strategy. We're going over a lot of different things here. But if you want to meet one-on-one, in person, online, by the phone, you can set something up with me and we can talk through your specific situation and kind of figure out the best plan for you to get you organized and set up to do the best you can in your classes. So you can email me and say that you want to meet, or on my signature for my emails that I send out a million times a week. There's actually a link to book an appointment at the bottom of my signature, and you can set your own appointment up. Um, so just let me know if you need any one-on-one help. Again, I'm not a tutor. Thank God we have tutors for a lot of our classes because that's not me. But I can definitely help you kind of, strategize and plan and balance your classes and your coursework and kind of navigate you through the process. That's the title. So
Thank you,
that's all I got.
Megan. Thank you. Yes, and we also have, again, the library. A lot of students are just not really aware of all of the services. So I wanted to post the hours here for our libraries at the different campuses. You can certainly contact them if you need to schedule an appointment. Our librarians are an awesome resource. They are very helpful with research, helping you to navigate Galileo or how to even conduct research. So if you're in a course that requires you researching sources for essays and for papers, again, the library is a very, very good resource to assist you with that. Also, if you feel that you have certain issues or concerns that you might need some type of accommodation, we do have disability services. Their goal is to, of course, provide an equal opportunity for all students to participate in programs and class and activities. So we actually have a disability services coordinator, and a specialist. Both of their contact information is listed here as well as on the website. What you do to start the process is you review what the request accommodations are, and then you can get in touch with one or both of them if you have any concerns and questions. But if you feel that may require or need some type of accommodations, you would definitely need to reach out to them and they would walk you through the process. We also have what we call special populations. Again, these are students who may have some certain circumstances that also may provide or present some type of barrier to learning. So if you're wondering if you even fall in this category, we consider special populations. These are students who are either single parents, or if you are a displaced homemaker, meaning you might be divorced, separated, pregnant, or widowed. Also, if you are a student who is economically disadvantaged, if you're a student where English is your second language, and you actually have limited English proficiency. Also, students who are non-traditional in their programs. For example, that would be a male student in the nursing program or a female student in the welding program. Any student who may have special needs and would like to be a part of this group. And let me go back. Sorry about that. So, our community resources and special populations, we actually have a contact person. That would be Carrie Register. So, if you feel that you fall into one of those categories and that you might need some type of additional assistance of any kind, please reach out to Carrie. If she is not able to serve you, she will definitely put you in touch with someone who can. She actually has a relationship with a lot of community resources as well. Okay, and I say I need to wrap up because of my time. And we also have career services. So, career services, I don't know if anyone knows that we have this. Career services, this is for students. This is actually a service that helps you to identify any specific skills and interests that you might have that might can assist you in deciding in what career, if you're undecided in what you want to major in. They also assist with resume writing, interview skills, helping you to develop a resume and also how to, conduct and an interview. So we have that information here. You would just need to schedule an appointment and she can walk you through some tactics. And last but not least, we offer a third-party counseling service. It is called Aspire. This service is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. This service is actually licensed mental health professionals. And what you would do is either give them a call, the numbers listed here, or even visit their website. The password you would use would be Lanier. This is a service that once an intake process is involved, you guys would have a set amount of sessions that you would have with a licensed counselor. So we do offer those services as well. So again, in order to see all of these, you would go to Lanier Tech homepage, click on My LTC Students, and that would be that. So thank you. So does anybody have any questions? I do want to reiterate, anybody who is doing this assignment for extra credit for a class, please make sure that you adhere to your instructor's parameters regarding how to submit. We will not submit any answers here in the chat. And for those of you who are in a psych or a social class, that question 1 should be answered because I am wearing black and white. Please note that. So, okay. So, Megan, a student wants to know how they will get this PowerPoint so they can print it for notes.
Thank you for asking. You can just put your name and email in the chat, and after this, I'm going to use the email addresses and names I have to pull a couple names for prizes, and I'll email you the options, and I'll also email you the PowerPoint. If Miss Walker, Ben Walker will be kind enough to send it to me, which
I
usually she
will
does,
forward
so
that right to you. Yes.
chances are high. So yeah, just make sure you put your name and email in the chat and I will send you the presentation and you'll be automatically entered to win a prize. I'll pull probably like 3 to 5 and let you guys know who the winners are. But I really appreciate you all coming today and thank you again, Ms. Ben
Thank
Walker, for
you.
doing this for us.
Of course. So,
And
any
you
other
guys,
questions? No, guys? Well, I hope you will utilize some of those techniques and report back. All right, guys, have a good day.
bye. Thank
Bye.
you.